Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Caden Cleveland here with the Oklahoma Senate, and you're joining us for another episode of OK Senate on Deck. We're joined, of course, with our President Pro Tem of the Senate, Senator Greg Treat. Senator, welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Well, this past week, there was a ton going on here at the Capitol.
It was a whirlwind.
Absolutely. We had Governor Stitt's inauguration. I mean, we had a legislative deadline, which always causes a little bit of chaos, last-minute bill filings.
Well, with construction, we've had everything moving back into offices. So
exactly.
It's been a real whirlwind.
It's been crazy, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, what I wanted to talk to you about today was with the legislative deadline happening last Thursday, I wanted to kind of zero in and focus in on some of the bills that you are actually authoring this year and wanting to present to the Senate.
Okay.
And maybe also get your input on a few other pieces of legislation that you have your eye on that you say maybe is good for the general public to keep an eye on and talk about what are the benefits and different things like that about that legislation.
Excellent. Look forward to it.
Awesome. Well, hang on tight, guys. We'll be right back. We'll be learning about a lot of legislation that's moving forward. So if you have some interest in learning about that, stick around. Hey guys, welcome back. As I said before, of course, we're joined with our President Pro Tem, Senator Greg Treat. So, Senator, really dialing in and focusing in on some of your legislation today. We're really wanting to learn a little bit about what you have going on moving into session. Last week was the legislative deadline. A ton of bills were filed in the last 2 days. But what are some of the bills that you are really wanting to present to the Senate and kind of walk us through what some of those are and what the benefits are and what they do exactly?
Yeah, the deadline was this past Thursday, and a lot of bills filed. A lot of attention will be paid to a few bills that are more sensational than others. But really, the bulk of the bills dealt with education. They dealt with public safety and government reform.
That's right, yeah.
And the third category and the second, so public safety and government reform, are contained within my bills as well. The bulk of my bills deal with governor's ability to appoint agency heads.
Well, that's been a big deal that Governor Stitt's been kind of highlighting also, correct?
Correct. And to be honest, I've been trying to do this since 2011, so I'm excited to have an executive that is going to push this. And seems, not that the previous wasn't, but there's a lot of momentum that's really highlighting it. And I think there's more support for it.
Great.
So we'll work those through. The ones I have are the big agencies, the ones that have the biggest impact.
Gotcha.
And then I've got a bill on the Lindsay Nicole Henry Scholarship, which provides scholarship for students in a very minimal amount right now. But right now, kids who don't have homes, the homeless population, are excluded from the ability to participate in that.
Gotcha. Well, that's a topic that's really dear to you, correct? I mean, that's been something even in the past that you've really had to focus on and really trying to improve that in Oklahoma.
Yeah, it could be a transformational generation. You hear me talk about transformational generation on a lot of different things, but I truly believe that we have the ability to impact one particular kid that can change the family lineage for a life, for decades, and for the better, to improve it. And there's no more vulnerable child than the one that doesn't have a home. Right. And so we expanded it to foster kids a year or two ago. My bill seeks to expand it to schools that are performing educational services exclusively for homeless children.
Wow. Okay, gotcha.
And so it's a very small amount, but it can make a huge difference.
Absolutely.
Huge difference long term. I've got one on association health plans, which just is a really huge deal for small businesses. Okay. For businesses that are either a sole proprietor, LLCs, those type of really small businesses that drive our economy, that really are healthcare costs continue to go up. This will help them contain healthcare costs, and it will modernize it to reflect the federal law changes that have recently happened to allow us to have more flexibility there. I'm excited about that one. Right. There's one that I want to highlight that's not mine. I've got a county home rule bill too that I'm sure we'll go into more detail in a separate video. It really modernizes county government, but rather than going into details on mine, just overview today. Yeah. Senator Thompson and Senator Shaw have a pay for success model. We had a very successful pilot up in Tulsa, Women in Recovery. Basically what that does is a not-for-profit comes to the state with a proposal They have to fund it for the first year. There's
Right.
a contract between the state and that not-for-profit.
Okay.
If they meet those goals, then the state starts investing in that because it's a proven program, successful. Senator Thompson, Senator Shaw seek to codify that
Right.
and to help expand that throughout state government.
So that could be something. Actually, that's a really cool concept because that could have a huge impact on topics like criminal justice reform. You got maybe like maybe Department of Corrections partners with a private organization to help with the rehabilitation of inmates, different programs like that.
Oh yeah,
Is that
the
right?
possibilities are endless, but there's a huge nexus with criminal justice reform
Great. Okay.
and pay for success.
That's awesome.
It's not limited there, but there's a huge possibility there.
That's true, and you could even go into, topics like we mentioned, adoption, foster care, different things like that. That could play a big role in those kind of programs as well.
I could see application in mental health. I could see application in Department of Human Services, as
Right.
you mentioned. I could see applications in the Office of Juvenile Affairs. I really think it's a very successful model that we ought to replicate throughout state government. So I was excited to see that bill filed.
So going back just for 1 second, I want to ask you a question on your gubernatorial appointments bill. Walk us through that a little bit more. What is the overall big impact on that? Is this just giving more authority to Governor Stitt for more leadership, or kind of walk us through that?
I believed in this before Governor Stitt ever ran.
Right.
I believed in it whether Governor Stitt got elected or his opponent got elected.
Right.
It's just good government.
Okay.
So what happens right now is boards and commissions hire and fire agency directors in large part throughout Oklahoma state government.
Okay.
And that gives you an appearance of accountability, but you elect a governor. Oklahomans elected a governor in November pretty overwhelmingly,
Right.
with a mandate. And he was very specific about some of his goals.
Yeah.
But then he gets into the governorship and he's thwarted, all the reforms will be thwarted, potentially, by boards and commissions. There's a lot of good people that serve on these boards and commissions.
Sure.
I'm not trying to demonize them. But it is a bad structure. It's a bad structure to allow the executive to actually transform state government. It's a bad structure that does not allow that to happen.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
And so we need to modernize that structure and allow the governor to be more like a CEO. State government's not a business, but there are a lot of business practices we could bring in to make ourselves more successful and more efficient. I'm excited Governor Stitt wants to tackle this, and I want to partner with him to get there. Obviously, as we go through the process, there will probably be some changes in legislation and all that.
Right.
But starting off, I'm excited. I think we'll have some success in it this year. We've had a modicum of success over the past few sessions on different agencies doing that. We've done that with the Department of Human Services. Last session, we did it with the Department of Health. But in both of those instances, it required almost a catastrophic event to get us to be able to pass it.
Exactly.
Hopefully we can do it without a catastrophic event.
That's kind of the goal, right?
Yeah, and to allow the governor to truly lead and be judged by the performance or non-performance and be able to transform some of these state agencies.
Love that. Well, Senator, thank you again for joining us this week. Guys, I hope you've been able to learn just a little bit about everything that Senator Treat, all the legislation that he's putting forth this year, but then also outside of the legislation you're putting forth. I mean, there's some really good pieces of legislation that are potentially huge impacts and huge positive impacts for the state of Oklahoma.
Yeah, and as the incoming pro tem, I kind of set my personal agenda to the side. I don't ignore it. The agenda for Senate District 47 is still important to me, but as the pro tem of the Senate, I try to help lead the body on ideas that we're trying to take on as a not just me, but big ideas to transform the state. And I think you'll see that as details emerge. I'm just really looking forward to it. I think we're going to have a hugely successful session. I don't think we're going to have as much money as the first certification said, but we're in a good position. Teacher pay will continue to be funded. The $6,000 teacher pay raise. I think the biggest thing you'll see us do, we're going to keep our word. We're going to keep our foot on the pedal on reform. We're going to make sure that education is still prioritized. And we're going to partner with Governor Stitt to try to modernize state government.
Love it. Well, that's a great final word, just a last word of encouragement there, and get you kind of a little pumped up, ready for session. Well, hey guys, thank you so much for joining us this week. And you can view any of our videos on protem.oksenate.gov. If you do have any questions, email us at ondeck at oksenate.gov. That's on deck at oksenate.gov. You can send us any questions. We'll talk about them here on the podcast and kind of get Senator Treat's thoughts on all those. So
yeah, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next week. Bye.